What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another MMA YouTube video. Today we're just going to be doing kind of a recap and the matchmaking for yesterday's UFC Mexico City card. Um, yeah, we missed the recap last night because we were both actually working, and by the time we just got home from work, it was just not really worth it. So we're just going to do it with this video. It'll be pretty long because of that, but the matchmaking won't be the most interesting. Although at the end of the video, which is the first fight of the night, I do have an interesting match. So definitely stay tuned for that. Will, do you got any?
Um,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, I missed a lot of fights on the card. I was pretty busy yesterday, but was not a good card for me. I Drew Dober lost. It's awful to see, and now the reality setting in that I'll get to watch Drew Dober and Josh Emmett lose in back-to-back weekends. I might not be part of this channel going forward if Josh Emmett loses because I'll probably be dead. Um,
he might chin Murphy though, but I
yeah,
doubt it.
well, please,
That's
but that's
coming
not.
out on
Yeah,
Thursday.
but yeah. I mean, other than that, not too much else to say. So let's get into it.
All right, starting with the main event, the winner, Brandon Moreno, he beat Steve Erceg unanimously, 49-46, which was a little interesting. I didn't watch the fight to be honest, so I don't really have a say on this. I just am based going off what I heard and stuff. I watched every other fight on the card. I just missed this one because I had to get to work. So yeah, but I heard it was competitive. I heard Erceg hung in there. I heard there were some swing rounds. I heard it could kind of go either way, but Moreno was definitely landing heavier. So, yeah, I don't have much to say on this. Will, do you have anything about Moreno specifically, I guess?
Um, I mean, he's kind of proven to be favored by the judges time and time again. I'm not gonna say he lost this at all. Because I have no authority when saying that, of course, but you know, he always has some weird scorecards in his favor. Um, and I think this fight is one of those. It was definitely closer than the unanimous 49-46 makes it out to be. But I still think Moreno won. Uh,
Mm.
on him specifically, yeah, not much else in that. But it is bad for the division. I think to have Moreno, who's clearly like not as good as he used to be, winning this much at the top of the division, especially when he's maybe just going to get a title shot now and lose to Pantoja. But we have a much more interesting matchup than Pantoja lined up.
And I would just like to say, God, if he beats Pantoja, that would be a disaster. But yeah, just actually real quick on the whole Moreno 49-46 thing. There was a Moreno 49-46 in the Brandon Royval 2 fight. He clearly lost. There was a Moreno 49-46 in the Pantoja 2-3 fight. He clearly, not clearly lost, but I mean, damn, it was pretty much Pantoja's fight. I don't understand. And then this is every judge gives it 49-46 Moreno. What is up with Moreno and 49-46s? I don't understand. But yeah, let's get into his matchup. We got freaking Nel Cop. I think it's a pretty good fight. Um, it's kind of a thing, and actually, I'll just go ahead and spoil the next matchup real quick. Erceg lost to Moreno. We're gonna have him fighting Asu Almabayev. It's kind of a thing where Erceg was originally scheduled against Almabayev. Then they brought Erceg in to fight Moreno and brought Cop in to fight Almabayev. And then Cop beat Almabayev and Erceg beat or Moreno beat Erceg. So we're just kind of doing the winners and losers of those fights against each other. So yeah, Cop versus Moreno, pretty much for a number one contenders fight, and then Erceg Almabayev, just kind of a rebound for Erceg, really. But also, you never know, Almabayev could win that, but I severely doubt it. How do I look so? The lighting is horrible. Anyways, yeah,
It is orange. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, on Moreno Cop, I think like Moreno's fought pretty much everyone in the division at the top, and especially those guys at the top who are sticking around like Pantoja or Royval. They don't really have like the finishing ability that Cop has, and I think that could be a cool matchup for someone who has never been finished to fight like a really um, effective finisher like Cop, even if his finishes are like eye poke combos. But you know, it's still a finish against Almavive, but I think that'd be pretty cool. Um, you know, maybe a bit cruel, but to test old man Moreno's chin a bit
Yeah,
as he goes out.
and I mean, we've seen like it's also Cop has yeah, the two recent ones, Almavive and Bruno Silva, have been kind of eye poking or nut shoddy, and then he whatever. But then like the Zalgas finish, the Ode Osborne KO, the flying knee, and then some other stuff like where he beat the shit out of David Dvorak. So yeah, that's just an interesting one. And then Cop Almavive or Erceg Almavive. Yeah, like I said, it's kind of just a rebound for Erceg, but you never know. At this point, we're not going to be putting Erceg in these super interesting, Kai Car France, Brandon Moreno, those types of fights. We're kind of at the point with Erceg. Okay, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Let's just get him a solid flyweight win, and I think that's what Asuoma is.
Yeah,
So yeah,
he's been like thrown to the absolute dogs. I mean, that's what's been discussed this fight week. That
the thumbnail, yeah,
yeah,
and the title.
since like knocking Matt Schnell the fuck out, he has just fought like the best fighters in the world without a break. I mean, dude, Pantoja, Kai Car France, and Moreno in a row. That's just rough. Like not,
Mhm.
and I think Erceg is definitely title level, but I don't think he is just yet. I mean, he's still pretty young, right? Um,
Yeah, I mean, he only has like 14 fights or
yeah,
something, 15, 16 fights, 16
I
fights.
he's just
Give the guy
been
a break.
he's been thrown in the meat grinder like way too early. He can definitely like build up to like a title level again, but as of now, I think he needs more of that like mid ranked level like experience.
Exactly. Like I said,
And
a solid flyweight win.
yep, and Almabayev provides that. Is not too dangerous, not too good, but he's still like definitely worthy being a ranked fighter, and he'll be a pretty good challenge.
All right, co-main event. Manuel Torres defeated Drew Dober by round one TKO with a straight right down the pipe and then some ground and pound. It was hard to watch. Horrible stoppage. What the hell is going on with these stoppages and these veteran fights, man? Gilbert Burns against Jack Della Maddalena. Bobby Green against Jalen Turner. Now Drew Dober against Manuel Torres. Stop the fights, bro. These guys are 35, 36 years old. In Burns' case, he was 37. Stop the fight. They are old. This is really bad brain damage. We don't need to see this. All right? I'm tired of it. Um, it was a really good performance, though, kind of as expected. I predicted round one KO. It was a close fight, but it was always Torres for me. So, um, yeah, good performance. Will, do you have anything on Torres specifically before we get to
Um,
Dober?
yeah, I mean, he's a ridiculous finisher. Like way too much power for his frame that it's just kind of not fair.
Yeah,
Like how much pop he's able to generate. Um, I mean, he has some pretty cool matchups, and maybe not at this level of lightweight, but like definitely going into the to ranked. I think he has some really cool potential matchups. I mean, he's a cool fighter. Awful to see him KO one of my favorites, but I mean, amazing performance. It was pretty cool.
yeah. And so I got him fighting Tom Nolan. It's not my best work as a matchmaker. I'm not gonna lie, but I think a thing we've noticed with Torres is if you're not his size and you're not just really, really fucking good, which I don't think he's in the position to be fighting a really, really fucking good type of fighter right now, I don't think you win. He's so hard to deal with. He's so rangy, hits so hard. So I just think Tom Nolan, a guy who's his size on a 3-fight winning streak, really needs to step up in competition for Tom Nolan. I mean, because he just does. He's on a 3-fight winning streak at this point. So I think it's a good fight. Get one of these guys a little further in their progression in the lightweight division.
Yeah, I mean, both Tom Nolan and Torres. Um, I like both these guys. They're both like way too tall for lightweight kind of late weight bullies, but they're both pretty fun, like finishers and fun matchup. It's gonna be cool seeing like two guys of this weird alien frame fighting each other.
Kind of like Bahamondes Turner was
Yep.
a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Okay. Will's boy,
Yeah.
the big bear, big dog, big bear, whatever. Drew Dober got smoked again. This happened against Frivola. We've seen his chin is still good, but it's definitely deteriorating.
Hmm.
It's really sad to see once again. I just hate the stoppage, but it is what it is. Drew Dober's he's still solid. I mean, you have anything on this? I mean, I'm sure you do.
I mean, I surprisingly not that much, but I mean, Drew Dober fighting a dude who's 5 inches taller than him, who hits harder than him, um, and he's kind of old. Like I had to bet on Drew Dober because he's my boy, but you always go in with that feeling that like someone like Drew Dober is gonna lose, because like Bobby Green. I bet on Bobby Green, um, pretty much every time. Do I expect him to win those times? No, not really. I have a little more faith in Drew Dober, of course, but against an opponent like this, it's not really likely that he wins. Um, it really like mostly sucks to me that he didn't get to do anything. Like he didn't. I don't think he landed a punch. Which
Eh, I think I mean, he was kind of in there like banging with it for a bit, but he wasn't really. Yeah, he wasn't landing clean. He wasn't doing great work. He was kind of just trying to get inside with punches, which Charles Johnson actually made a really good tweet about this. Charles Johnson said, "You can't just hang around in the 50-50 range. You're gonna get caught against a 6'3" guy who hits like a with fucking nukes in his hands. Like you can't just that's what Dober did. He sat around in that 50-50 kickboxing range in between punches and kicks and
yeah,
yeah, right down the pipe.
which I mean, it just sucks to see like Drew Dober lose again. I think he's on a 3 fight skid now, or no, two.
Yeah,
It's three. Okay,
3. It's
yeah,
Silva, Moicano Silva and now Torres.
yeah. I was thinking he might have had like, what is it, like Ricky Glenn or someone.
I think
Like
Ricky Glenn was before Moicano.
okay, yeah. But hopefully we can put him back against a shit opponent, and he can like establish that lightweight KO record. Um, Getting into
Great
that,
transition.
yeah.
Great transition. Rafa Garcia fought earlier on this card, had a terrible performance against Vince Pichel. Uh, just getting Dober a rebound because Rafa Garcia, man, he has a lot of wins in the UFC. It's weird with this guy, but he's not good. He really isn't. He's definition of mid. He's a mid striker, a mid grappler. He hangs in there. He's tough, but I do think Dober would definitely get a win here.
One
So
last
yeah,
note on Dober. He should never ever fight in Mexico City again. He always gets embarrassed in Mexico. Like, stop. And he
who else
made
did
a
he fight?
he made a post about that. Um, like that.
Oh, he fought wait, didn't he fight like Polo Reyes in Mexico? That's an insane shout. I don't know, but I'm
I
pretty sure he
I
did.
maybe, but he made a post like earlier today saying that his two
That's
most
hilarious.
embarrassing losses are in Mexico City. So, as he
Another
said, hope he doesn't fight in Mexico again.
hold on. I
Looking
so I
this
thought he
up.
fought Polo Reyes, who I think he KO'd in Mexico. I could be totally wrong.
I'm
Hold on.
not gonna. Well, why would he say that's his most embarrassing performance?
No, that was in Minneapolis, not Mexico.
But
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Oh, was it Efren Escudero?
maybe I don't
It
know.
was. It was Efren Escudero. Okay. So yes, he got subbed in like a round by Efren Escudero, and now KO'd in a round by. All right, let's stop talking about fucking Dober getting finished. Um, moving on. The fucking boy,
Oh,
Edgar Shirez, Will's favorite flyweight. He's up there for me. Just smoked CJ Vergara.
like
Did
we
whatever he
said,
wanted, as we said.
like we said, did anything he wanted. Dropped him,
Yep.
subbed him. It was. I mean, it looked like I'm glazing here. It looked like CJ Vergara was getting mauled in there. Like
Which he
he did.
was.
He couldn't do anything because I mean, Shirez is just filthy when he's not against like the best fighters in the division. He's filthy. Like
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, even when he's against like Tyra and Van, like dude, he dropped Tyra and then almost finished him with the guillotine at the end of the fight.
yep.
Then against Van, he fucking like spinning back fist wobbled him, turned that into an absolute war. Like he's him. He's him. He's him. Of Edgar Shirez. Um,
Shirez, I need him in the top 15. I forgot what matchup you have lined up.
Won't
Not
exactly get
quite,
it into
yeah.
the top. It won't exactly get him into
Oh
the
wait,
top
yeah,
15.
no, you have him fighting cans, but you know,
Yeah. Suma Derji and Mitch Raposo, I believe, are fighting next weekend. If not, it's pretty soon. Just some like low level flyweight matchup. Like let's Edgar Shires, it was a great win, but he's only on a 1 fight winning streak. He doesn't
yeah,
have that many wins. So let's
that's
get him a
true.
couple more before we start throwing him back to the
And
Joshua Vans and Hudson
either
Taira.
either of these guys is basically a guaranteed highlight for Shirez by
Yeah,
based on his performance. Of course, a fluke can always happen, but um, like by how Shirez has performed, he's smoking both these guys.
absolutely. Especially Mitch Raposo. Suma Derji actually like kind of showed up against Charles Johnson, but Mitch Raposo,
Charles Johnson's a weird fighter though. He just has like off nights and stuff like that. And
oh,
he is like
oh yeah,
really good, but yeah, he just has weird performances where he just struggles a ton against guys who clearly aren't as good as him.
Tamarov. Well, I would say Zalgas and Ode, but he's just improved so much since those fights. So that's kind of hard to say. But yeah, like Tamarov and Sue. Although Sumaderji did just look good. His striking looked on point. Like it looked like he had thud with his kicks and stuff. But anyways, Mitch Raposo's pretty much a free win. He's okay, but he's just tiny. I
What was
think
Mitch Raposo's first fight? I remember I
Andre Lima.
watched it. Yeah, okay, yeah. And that fight
Yeah,
sucked.
yeah. It was on against Andre Lima, and he just yeah. But yes. So Shirez versus the winner of this probably going to be Sumaderji. If not, whatever. Get Shirez another unranked win before we start talking about those big step ups because he doesn't need to, right? And I loved hearing like him talk about his. I mean, not loved, but it was inspirational hearing him talk about like his grandpa and so yeah. But all right, not much to say here. CJ Vergara absolutely sucks. He gets chinned at flyweight consistently, and he's getting cut from the UFC.
Uh, that was fire. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he was even in here for this matchup, but I'm glad he was because we got a cool Shira's finish. But as of now, get him out of here. There's nothing left for him. He just loses to
12 and
everyone.
7.
Yep.
He's 12 and 7, right? And he's getting smoked when he loses, unless it's against an Ode Osbourne. All right. And by the way, I just for now we're gonna have a lot of these. We're gonna have a lot of. There were so many fighters on this card who were like they were being brought in to lose, and they did, and then so we'll get to them. But all right. Raul Rosas clearly beat Vince Morales. Won round 1 and 2. Then got an insane sub attempt in round 3. Morales had him in like a deep anaconda, and then another deep. Might have just been another deep
I
anaconda,
thought
but
it was a Peruvian necktie. Didn't he get?
that was round 1. But it was
Oh,
like the
okay.
very end of round 1, and Rosas already won. But in round 3, he like had him in an anaconda straight up, and that Goliath jaw just wouldn't give up. But yeah, just another pretty boring one that like the Erceg one was. It's just please step it up, man. So
Yeah.
for his next fight, I gave him a couple fighters, which we'll see. I'll just get into it now.
I mean, I think Rosas is now like the youngest fighter to get 5 wins in the UFC. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So which previously was held by Vitor Belfort. So that's a really cool record. But I mean, his performances haven't been that special for the past like year, I'd say. He entered like in a pretty entertaining way, but since then it's just been a lot of decisions.
Yeah, I mean he had let's see, Jay Perrin where he subbed him. Then he
Yep.
had Ricky Tercios. Then he had Ricky Tercios where he subbed him. Then he had
Hmm.
Terrence Mitchell where he KO'd him. Then he's had
Oh,
these
he
two
did
decisions.
KO Terrence Mitchell. Yeah.
And then freaking Eric. Okay, this matchup, I don't think he can make. But he could. I do. Okay, David Grant versus Daniel Santos. Before I say, they're fighting. I believe that's next weekend in the Apex on Murphy Emmett. Um, this is just a pretty mid-range bantamweight fight. Winner of this will probably get Rosas pretty close to the rankings. It's just bantamweight is pretty stacked, so it's hard to say like he deserves ranked, but maybe. Um, yeah, if Daniel Santos wins this, like that can't be boring from Rosas. You know what I mean? I don't think he'll be able to just hold down Daniel Santos for the whole fight. I think he's either subbing him or it'll be a scrap on the feet. And then kind of Davy Grant, I don't know. He's old.
Davy
Um,
Grant, a dude who looks like a pedophile against the youngest fighter in the UFC. That's a banger too.
Just simple matchmaking. All right. Yeah, so just kind of getting Rosas more wins or getting him fraud checked. Who the fucking knows at this point? I'm sick of these boring fights. Let's get on to Vince Morales. I actually do want to talk about Vince Vendetta Morales. It should be Vendetta, but whatever. Yeah, he lost again. This is his second stint in the UFC, and he went 3-0, which sucks because I think he's better than that. But he had 3 pretty tough fights. Jacoby Smith, Taylor Lapalus, who for some reason got cut from the UFC, and then
Oh yeah, that
Barbosa.
did just happen. That was a weird cut.
Yeah,
Wasn't he 3 and
so
1? He's gone 3 and 1 twice in the UFC, and he's gotten
yes,
cut
yes.
both
And then
times.
he's yes, he beat Morales and a couple of other guys and lost to Farid Basharat. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I don't know with Morales. Oh, and he beat Cody Stamen as well. All right, with Vince Morales, went 0-3 on his second run in the UFC. Unfortunate to see, but it, you gotta cut him, right?
I
You
mean,
can't just go 0-3.
yeah, he's a weird fighter where there's quite a few of these guys where he clearly has like a pretty good skill set. He's clearly not like an 0-3 in the UFC level like guy, but he just loses. Like
Yeah, right on
I can't think of another off the top of my head, but like that happens a decent amount. And it's just
for
like
sure.
these guys just lose for like I mean, there's a reason, but like
I mean, I
it,
could think of literally. I think it's the next fight. I mean, Simon Oliveira, right? That's an 0-3 guy in the UFC. I mean, he's so much worse than Vince Morales.
yep.
Like, yeah,
I
it's
don't
just
know.
how it
Yeah,
is.
disappointing by Morales. He has super fun subs, like really cool offensive jiu-jitsu, but I guess we're not going to see any more of that in the UFC.
Yes. All right. Yes. Okay. So next fight, David Martinez, as expected, got a sick KO. I mean, he was fighting an absolute can coming off a 2-year layoff, so you're fucking better. But yeah, it was awesome. He cracked him with a counter right, like slip counter, and then wobbled him, and then just waited. Boom, perfect knee, like plumb up, bang, perfect knee, KO'd him, knocked him out with ground and pound. It was an awesome performance, as expected. Yeah, I'm excited to see David Martinez going forward. Will, do you have anything on David Martinez? Or
I mean, not really. Cool story, cool KO. I think the UFC's gonna want to invest in him for sure. But really, not much to say. I mean, it was Oliveira off a 2-year layoff. Kind of a free
Mhm.
win for anyone who's not a can.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what Alatangeli is, who I have him matched up with. Alatangeli's okay. He has wins in the UFC. He's really not that good though. And he's coming off a long layoff, so Martinez should be able to beat him. But hey, what we're doing here is we're building up a prospect, get him a guy, a step up in competition, right? Alatangeli's a little better than Simon. Not a, he's better than Simon Oliveira, but he's still not very good, coming off a long layoff, etc. So yeah, just probably getting him another KO win. But yeah, Simon Oliveira got smoked in round 1. He's not good. He shouldn't have been in the UFC in the first place, but he was. And he somehow lasted 3 years or so because he just wouldn't fight. That's the thing.
It's
Like he wasn't fighting.
another good one for our like inactivity epidemic video.
Absolutely, absolutely will be on that. So obviously he's getting cut. 0-3 in the UFC and stupid inactive. Should have been cut a long time ago because what are you doing, man? You're not fighting. Get out. So yeah. All right. Kevin Borjas beat Ronaldo Rodriguez. I put it in the slides because that's how it happened. That's how a judge scored it. A judge actually scored that fight, 29-28. It was clear as day. Borjas won every single round. He totally dominated, as he should. Um, Ronaldo is terrible, man. The guy
We
sucks.
said that
And
in the video, yeah.
yeah, we said that in the predictions. Like, I know this narrative has kind of showed up since he lost. Dude, I've been saying this since he fucking came back. Like, he fought on Contender Series, lost to Jerome Rivera. Dude, Jerome Rivera is like one of the worst UFC fighters ever, right? So he comes into the Contender Series, loses to Jerome Rivera, comes back a couple years later. No, actually, it's like comes back like 5 years later. Fights fights Bondar and Denise Bondar. It just wasn't impressive. I was like, this guy sucks, man. Then he fights O'Day, and I'm like, oh, he sucks even more. He's
arguably
gonna
lost to
lose.
Ode Osborne in 2024. Like,
Yeah, he's gonna lose. And so I was like, okay, Borjas isn't great, but dude, if Borjas either one just KOs him in the first round, or what the actual result was, if he just fights smart, doesn't engage. Talking to you, Ode Osborne, don't engage with them on the ground, don't gas, just fight smart, and you're good. You win because that's how bad Ronaldo is, and that's exactly what he did. He just pretty much spammed a counter right and a leg kick, and he won. So Borjas isn't great, but he's good enough to beat Ronaldo because Ronaldo sucks.
yeah, I mean, sucks for the UFC trying to build up a new star. Like, every time I would look at Ronaldo's Instagram account, it looked like he gained another like 100,000 followers. It's kind of insane. Personally, I don't really understand it, but I don't speak Spanish or anything, so of course I'm
Yeah,
not the target audience. But
Mexican thing.
but like it sucks that the Mexican fans put so much stock in a guy who just isn't good. Um,
Exactly. Well, that's what I was saying, dude. A star has to be good. They shouldn't be putting stock. Put stock in fucking David Martinez, dude.
yep.
Put stock in Edgar Shires. Don't put stock in Ronaldo Rodriguez. He's bad. And that's the thing. When building up stars, that yes, the UFC can do all they do with matchups. Like they gave him an 0-2 guy after he beat Osborne and was 2-0 in the UFC. They
Well,
can do all they want to try to get them wins, but they have to be good. Look at O'Malley.
maybe don't put stock in Edgar Shires because he might be part of the Latin Kings, but yeah.
Yeah. But like look at O'Malley. Dude, you got to be good to win as a prospect. The UFC can do all they want building you up. If you're going to win, you got to beat guys that are not just Denise Bondar and Ode Osborne. So let's get on to Borjas's matchup. I got him fighting Ray Saruya. Ray Saruya's 1-1 in the UFC. Had a not very impressive win over Carlos Hernandez, then an absolutely embarrassing loss against Joshua Van.
That was such a
So
terrible like matchup though. That I don't know what the matchmakers were thinking matching up with Van. Like it's such a
I
mistake.
totally agree it was a terrible matchup, but I don't think that fight could have gone any worse for Ray Saruya.
Oh yeah,
I
of
mean,
course not. I'm just saying it never should have happened.
he looked so bad. So yeah, this is pretty much it. I mean, Borjas, man, like he's not very good, right? He's so one dimensional. He has a very shallow bag. That's enough to beat Ronaldo if you're smart at all. And Borjas is clearly a smart fighter. He's just not very good. So, yeah, I think Cerullo will probably sub him, but maybe not. Maybe Cerullo really is just a fraud and can only beat the Carlos Hernandezes of the division. So, um, Ronaldo, we already talked about him at length. He sucks. Obviously terrible at fighting. He could have won this if like Borjas was stupid and gassed in the first round, but
They
Borjas
allow
just
biting in the UFC. I think he becomes champ.
that definitely. Yeah.
Like that mouth, he could take it. Like he could take an arm off. Like that
Okay.
shit
Okay.
is crazy. Sorry.
Um. So yeah, I got him fighting actually Stuart Nickel. I'm not about to start rebuilding Ronaldo, bro, because it's hard to
Stuart
get this
Little.
guy wins. Yes, Stuart Little. I'm about. It's hard to get this guy wins, right? Because he's really bad. He's really, really bad. Like a rematch with Ode would win. That's the hard stuff. So I'm just saying, fuck it. Give him another prospect. Stuart Nickel had a really rough debut. Lost to Jesus Aguilar. Got subbed in a round. It was really embarrassing. Um,
I mean, dude, Borjas
which
gave such a Borjas at the level that he is gave such a clear blueprint for beating Ronaldo that no one going forward should be losing to him unless he changes
yeah.
something up like crazy.
Well, I think Stuart Nickel can beat him on the ground too. That's the crazy thing. I mean, I know he got subbed by Jesus Aguilar, but the dude is actually really good. So I'm still high on Stuart Nickel. I still think he's got something. He's got a future in the sport. So yeah, probably get him a free win. Maybe Ronaldo gets a win. If so, good. You know what I mean? Mexicans love him. I don't, but Mexicans love him. He's he's a star. So get him another win, I guess. But I do think this would be a Stuart Nickel dub and start getting Ronaldo out of there. All right. Next fight. We got Ateba Gautier versus Jose Medina. Gautier smoked him as he should. Would have kind of took nothing less. You know what I mean? So yeah, absolutely destroyed him. Sick KO with a knee after hurting him. Um, yeah. Will, do you have anything on Gautier and Medina?
Um,
I guess Gautier
I
specifically.
mean, I bet on Medina in the picks video. Obviously, I didn't think Jose Medina was actually gonna beat Gautier, but you know, he obliterated him. Um, Gautier is pretty good, and somehow that dude is 2022. I think they mixed up his 2022. Somehow that dude is 22. I think they lost his birth certificate or something. But yeah, he's filthy. A ton of power, like kind of ridiculous. Must be something in the Cameroonian water. Um,
which there
but
isn't much of.
yes, there
Uh,
isn't much of. But yeah, um, I think he'll be a really fun fighter in the UFC going forward.
so, and what you just mentioned, he is 22. I want to preface that with this matchup, okay? I know when you first see this, you're like, dude, why is he going from like one of the worst middleweights on the roster, like bottom three, to the worst middleweight on the roster? I know, I know, but it's just get him more wins. He's 22. We don't need to be putting this guy against. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is middleweight. We don't need to be putting this guy against Cody Brundage. You know what I mean? We don't need to be putting this guy against guys who can grapple because his grappling is not good. Get him another win. Let him develop a little more. He's 22. Like,
Well,
let
Tricoli
him
is allegedly a grappler. Allegedly.
allegedly, allegedly according to like Mackenzie Dern. I don't know, dude. Tricoli's awful. Probably the worst fighter on the roster right now, or close. Get Gautier another sick win, another awesome KO, and yeah, get him another highlight. Build him up a little more, keep him active or reasonably active, you know. And yeah, all right. Jose Medina got fucking smoked, as predicted, because he's terrible, right? He is one of, as I just said, one of the worst fighters on the roster. He has no skills. He just kind of hangs in there. So yeah, but I can't really cut him yet. I don't think he's gonna get cut unless he was on some type of weird two-fight contract. Usually, or almost every single time, these Contender Series contracts are three-fight contracts unless the UFC decides to cut a contract, which is rare. That'll happen in a situation like Igor Severino where he bit Andre Lima, so they cut his contract.
And Dana
Um,
White seems to like Medina for some reason. So
I mean,
I
they let him in the UFC for some dumb fucking reason. So yeah,
so I'm assuming he's on a 3-fight contract.
yeah. All right. So I have him fighting. Um, this one was hard because he's really bad, and I couldn't really find any prospects I wanted to put him up against. So I kind of was just like, all right, Marco Tulio and Trayshawn Gore are fighting, I believe, next weekend. It might be whatever. They're fighting soon. Marco Tulio's almost definitely gonna win. If he doesn't, if he gets fluke KO'd, cool, he gets a rebound against Jose Medina. If Trayshawn Gore loses, which is the likely outcome, then him and Medina will have like a cutoff. Like whoever loses that fight gets cut. So it's really uninteresting, but it's hard to find matchmaking with this fucking bum. You know, he's really bad. He shouldn't be in the UFC. I'd rather him just get cut. I just don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're just scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Maybe he could fight Nick Klein. Who knows? Like,
I was I was thinking about that.
yeah,
Like I was
okay,
genuinely Nick Klein or Tricoli, but I don't want those guys to get wins. You know
that's
what I
true.
mean? Like
Yeah,
I don't want these bottom of the barrel. I want them to be fighting prospect, prospect, prospect out. You
yeah.
know?
I mean, they just shouldn't be in the UFC at this level. So yeah, I agree with that. Although
Yeah.
Nick Klein is my goat and a future champ, but you know.
That is true. That is true. Okay, let's get on to Melky versus Christian Rodriguez. Good performance from Melky. In our prediction video, I kind of said like I think Melky would be able to kind of beat him up for a round and then gas. Not the case. He hung in there for 2 rounds. Round one was kind of a swing round. Then round two, he dominated. And then round three, Rodriguez won. Um, so yeah, honestly, he impressed me really in the cardio and just like controlling himself. Right, he really impressed me. Close fight, but still, he impressed me. Thought he got a good win. Yeah. Do you have anything on Melky?
I mean, C Rod is not like really easy for anyone to beat. And it's a good win, good performance by Melky. I need to get this freak off my screen.
Okay, let's do it quick.
But you know, this is a great matchup. Sadiq Youssef, he's taken a year layoff at this point. He hasn't been booked. Uh, we love Sadiq Yusuf over here at the Pacific MMA channel. Uh,
Yes, we do.
and I think it would be a good one or a good return for Sadiq Yusuf. Just coming back, beating an up and comer like Melky, or I mean, a good way to make a statement for Melky Costa here. But
Please, if this matchup, I mean, I'm doing this in the context. This is totally biased. I really want Sadiq to get a good bounce back win because the thing about this is it's very winnable. It's also a really good win. Melky is on a 3 or 4 fight win streak at this point. Good wins at featherweight. You know, Feely and C-Rod, and then before that he'd be like Tucker Lutz or something. I don't remember. Austin Lingo. Is it Austin Lingo? I don't remember. He has a couple wins now, and I think Yusuf is near the rankings. I forget what I have him ranked in my spreadsheet. It's something like 17 through 25. So, but he's just been out for a really long time. So yeah, I'm excited to see this. I hope this happens. I think it's a good fight. Let's get him off the screen. All right, C-Rod. Everybody's already talked about it, so we don't need to go into it at length. But you can beat Bashi, you can beat Rosas, you can beat Simon, you can beat Dolgarian, clear loss. But you can't beat Melky, you can't beat Arosa. Whatever, bro. I'm tired of C-Rod. I don't fucking get this guy. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not giving him another prospect. Let's get on to the matchup. I'm giving him Jamal Emmers, who got an awesome win earlier on this card. Jamal Emmers is a super fun fighter. Should probably be a pretty good fight between two kind of vet gatekeeper guys at in the unranked featherweight area. So yeah,
this video is also a recap. I just got to shout out Jamal Emmers. That KO was sick. I love watching Jamal Emmers fight. He just swings as hard as he can, and I always respect that. So hopefully he just KO C-Rod. But whenever Jamal Emmers has a chance to KO someone, I will always be there. Such a fun fighter.
AO's C-Rod back the fucking catchweight. Yeah, and also, dude, my goat Chris Padilla was in his corner. I didn't know this.
It's
Apparently,
true.
that Southern California gym with Bobby Green, Chris Padilla, and Jamal Emmers. I guess they all train at. So yeah,
And the cornermen were fighting or whatever
that's
that
funny.
was. Yeah,
That's how I noticed it because it was Bobby Green's dad, his adopted father,
that was
the white
Bobby
guy.
Green's dad. I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, the guy and the owner of that gym, and then the other guy, and then Chris Padilla was in the background. So I was like, oh shit, dude. So I guess they all train in that Southern California area. But anyways, yeah, Jamal Emmers, like Will said, fucking awesome fighter, super entertaining, has a lot of good losses, a lot of good wins. His wins aren't great, but his losses are good. He's a good fighter, fun fighter. C-Rod can be fun if he's forced to be, or it'll be like that Melky fight, which was fun in moments when Melky was kind of making it his fight. But yeah, let's get on to and next few fighters we're just kind of gonna do really quickly. It's kind of you'll see why. Vince Pichel lost to Rafa Garcia. Dude is super old, super inactive. Get him out.
I mean,
Anything on
yeah.
Vince Pichel?
One, why is he in the UFC at all? Two, get him out of here. He's too old. He's gonna take another 2 years off if he fights again, if that. Um, he's Vince from Hell Pichel. Or Vince the
Yeah,
Shell Patel. Like,
on everything.
just get him out, man. Like, what is he doing in here?
Gabriel Miranda, same exact conversation. He only has one win in the UFC, and it is Shane Young. You know what I'm saying?
Respect the mustache and get him out of here.
Let's get on. Austin Hubbard, in his second stint in the UFC, has one win, and it's actually McCall Figlak, which is I don't know how the fuck Figlak lost that fight. Figlak just sucks, I guess. Get him out. Right. So anything
Well,
on those cuts? I
uh,
guess I don't know.
I don't think the UFC's losing much, so no, not much to say there.
And now, really interesting matchup. Let's talk about Marco Malderos. Not the most interesting fighter. Holy shit, man. I had a little comment exchange with this guy on Instagram back in the day. We were talking about he was talking about wrestlers, and I told him hey, dude, in your debut against Landon Quinones, you held him up against the cage, and you're meant to be a striker, and you just held him up against the cage and made it an absolute snooze fest. And he was like, fair. Next fight, I'll be better. And I was like, okay, I believe in you, Marco Maderos. I mean, you see it on screen, a split decision to Austin Hubbard. I know Austin Hubbard is tough. I know he has cardio. Let's finish him, man. Let's get a dominant decision in there, right? So I'm really disappointed by Medeiros' UFC run so far. But hey, he has 2 wins in the UFC. Um, no matter how unimpressive they are. Um, yeah, Will, do you have anything to say on him before you reveal the awesome fucking matchup that we have?
Um, Not really. He seems like a cool guy. I gotta say that.
Yeah,
I hope
definitely.
he can. In this matchup we have lined up for him, he can either provide for a cool KO or something, meaning he would get knocked out, or or he can finally like show his potential, like show what he should be. And I guess when I'm alluding to it so much, let's just get into that matchup. There you go.
Elvis Brenner, right? I mean, Elvis Brenner isn't in boring fights. That's the great thing.
Hmm.
Well, unless it's Zubair Tukhugov, but let's not let's not start making Zubair Tukhugov comparisons in terms of like snooze fest potential. That guy is different. But yeah, I just think it's like Medeiros. He's 2-0 in the UFC now. Let's get him a big step up. Brenner's on a 2-fight losing streak. It's gonna be a fun fight. So even if Medeiros loses, his stock wouldn't go down crazy. Like say if he actually had lost the decision to Austin Hubbard, his stock wouldn't go down like crazy because Elvis Brenner's a really good fighter. He hits crazy hard. He has sick Muay Thai, competent grappler, just a super fun fighter. Damage, violence, can't make it boring. Let's get that
Also, like, not a
dominant contender.
straight up impossible matchup like Joel Alvarez. Like, this is a good matchup for both of these dudes.
Yeah.
Because, like, Brenner, stylistically, Alvarez, like, that's the worst fight ever for him. And that they kind of just sent him in there to die. um, but in this one, both fighters have a chance to, like, really prove something, do something cool. So, I mean, this is the most interesting matchup coming out of this card, which is kind of weak for matchmaking in general. But I feel like this one here and probably the Sadiq one are both really solid.
Mm. Yeah, and I know you're not watching Markel, but let's get back to that contender series for him. You got that sick KO over Isa Isakov, who was actually okay. He got a sick fucking knee. It was awesome. Let's get back to that, okay? None of this split decision, hold a guy up against the cage, barely defend a takedown bullshit. And I think that's what Brennan provides. Even if Medeiros loses, stock goes up. Yeah, win-win. All right. Well, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching. Those are all the matchups and a quick recap of all the fights. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any suggestions for different fights, let us know down below. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys will tune in on Thursday for our predictions video and our recap. I think coming out Saturday night, will we be able to do that? Yeah, Saturday night for Emmett Murphy. See you in the next one.
Fire.